Good morning. This is Raymond Yeung. I'm a tax consultant in Hong Kong. I work in IRD Inland Revenue Department for more than 18 years. And now I'm going to talk about Hong Kong salary tax, be it smart taxpayer. How to become a smart taxpayer upon salary tax. There are 3 things you should know. First, know your obligations under the IRO, Inland Revenue Ordinance. Second, know your rights under the IRO. Third, have a sound knowledge of Hong Kong taxation. First, let me explain why you should know your obligations under the IRO. If you don't know your obligations, you may, fail to fulfill your duties, and the result of this failure can be disastrous. The first obligation, you should know, and some taxpayers may ignore it, is tell IRD your new address. Some taxpayers moved out from their old address, and they don't inform IRD. In that case, the IRD cannot send the tax returns to you. And if, of course, then you will not complete the tax return, and IRD will issue you an estimated assessment and demand you to pay an estimated tax, and you will likely not pay the tax in time. The result is even worse, because IRD will take action to recover the tax demanded in the estimated assessment. They may send letters to your bank and withdraw money from your bank account. They may send letters to your employers, to withdraw money, from your wages account. And they may even take actions in court, and there will be a lot of trouble. So the first obligation you must do and you must know is tell your IRD your address. The second obligation is that if you have income chargeable to tax in Hong Kong, and if such income, exceeds the amount of your basic allowances, and you are required, to pay tax. And if you don't receive a tax return from IRD, you must inform IRD this within 4 months after the year of assessment. The year of assessment means a period from 1st of April to 31st March. So you should, inform IRD on or before 31st July, after that year of assessment. If you don't inform IRD, you don't receive a tax return, the IRD may take penalty action against you. If you receive a tax return from IRD, you must complete the return. Send it back to IRD within the time specified in the tax return. That is a law requirement. Of course, you must submit a correct tax return to report all the taxable incomes, to make true statements for the information required. If you provide incorrect tax return, provide incorrect information, making a false statement in the tax return, you may be liable to a penalty action. That may be a money penalty or a prosecution or a tax investigation. So you must fill in all the the returns with correct information. If you have problems, maybe doubt, you may seek advice from a professional. You may call IRD to ask them to explain to you. So the second point, is file a tax return with IRD promptly and correctly. The third, obligation is pay tax timely. If you don't pay tax, on or before due date, you may be get into tax troubles. So if you don't have money, you may go to your bank and ask for a bank loan. Maybe go to IRD and you ask for a payment by installment. These are the basic obligations you must know. Now I'm going to talk about your rights under the IRO. You have the right to object to an assessment. If assessment is excessive, incorrect, have something to say, regard to income assessed, allowances, deductions. So you can make an objection within 1 month of the assessment. So beware, the time limit. It is statutory. Only in exceptional cases will IRD accept your late objection. The late objection will usually be rejected by the assessor because they reject it. Will reduce their workload. If they accept it, that means they have more work to do. So watch the time limit of objection. Take notice of the date of the assessment, and then 1 month. After that is the last day of the objection. So objection is a very, very important right. Of course, IRD will make decision, make inquiry on your objection. They may ask you to provide more information to substantiate the objection. Another right is if you have filed a tax return and you later find that you make an error, make a mistake in the tax return, you have a right to ask IRD to make a revised assessment to correct the error. And also to deal with something you have omitted in the tax return. So there is a right under IRO section 70 A, capital letter A, that you can, make a claim to correct an error or omission in the assessment or in the tax return. The time limit, is along, 6 years. After the year of assessment. So, but you have not filed a tax return with ILD, you won't have such right. But in some cases, if your omission is you have omitted to claim allowances, maybe claim married person allowance, claim child allowance, you can still make it even though you have not filed a tax return before. In that case, ILD will send you a tax return, of course a duplicate one, and then you complete that return and you can get back the allowances to reduce your tax or to have a refund. The time limit for you to do so is 6 years, after the end of the year of assessment. This is an important, right you must know. Now I want to talk about knowledge of Hong Kong tax law. In Hong Kong, tax is not high. There are still a lot of tax relief, reduction, allowances. You may also make use of those, provisions under IRO to have better tax, planning. To reduce your tax. So, for example, you can arrange with your employer for housing benefit, free accommodation. A tax for such benefit is good. You pay less tax if you have free accommodation. You pay the rent and then you ask your employer to get back the money. In that case, it is a rent refund case. But be careful, you must do it in accordance with the law, and you should know more for such arrangements. You may come to my website for details, and you may ask your employer to give you some non-cash benefits. Maybe you may ask your employer to give you money on special occasions. For example, on your marriage anniversary, on your birthday, on something special, for example Chinese New Year. If the employer give you some money, for a very special purpose, not related to your work. For example, Lai Si on Chinese New Year, or a marriage gift on your marriage. When you retire, you get a retirement gift. Such things are not taxable because they are for personal reasons, for personal goodwill, friends, not related to your work, and then you will get exemption from such gifts, from such payments. And there's still a lot of allowances under the IRO you may enjoy. For example, you have a brother, under 18, you maintain him. Your brother is not a Hong Kong resident, but you are still eligible to claim dependent brother-sister allowance. But for a parent, you want to claim dependent parent allowance (DPA), then your parent must be living in Hong Kong. And there are many deductions for expenses. If you incur expenses, for one job to another job, you have two jobs, and the traveling expenses between these two jobs are tax deductible. And maybe if you are a salesman, a salesperson, and you need to entertain your clients out of your own pocket, then such expenditure are tax deductible. Maybe you need to hire an assistant to do your work, and then the wages paid to the assistant may be a tax deductible. I mean, so if you know more, you can have more tax deduction, benefit relief. That makes you a smart taxpayers. So if you want more information, welcome to my website. If you want to seek my advice, I will be very glad, very happy to help you. So for now, goodbye, good day, and good luck.